did you meet people at your new school?
So I switched schools twice during college, and each time I had to find new friends when I was there. My last one, I just joined a club that I liked and enjoyed, and I just hung out with the same guys almost every day. So really just join a club if you see one that you like, and you'll meet friends and hang out almost every day.
At my school, there were so many orientation events and like things put on by RAs and clubs and stuff just at the very beginning of the year. And after like 2 weeks of that, I got so tired of going to these orientation events, but that's where I met like almost all of my friends. Some of my best friends live right across the hall from me. So even though me and my roommate aren't like besties, I still have someone kind of right there. Also in classes, like don't be afraid to just talk to people. Like you'll ask, oh, where are you from? What's your name? What's your major? Like so many times during the first couple weeks. But then you get to meet some really interesting people. So I would just say, sit next to interesting people in classes. Everyone's kind of in the same boat and wants to make friends. So just like talk to people.
One thing I want to say is my friends and I coined a term for it. We call them freshman friends, and they're the people that you meet during like orientation and those first few events, which by the way, go to the events your RA puts on. As a former RA, they put a lot of work into them. But I will also say just like, you might not find your people right away, which is totally fine. It was really nice for me just to not be alone, like in a state that's like 1,000 miles away and like brand new school. No one I knew went there, so it was really me forming my own path. And so just having people around for the first few weeks was really nice. And then I'm going to echo the sentiment of join clubs. I am in 2 clubs that I adore. I'm on the executive board for both of them. I love them so much. They're like my favorite parts of my day. And I found my favorite people in both of them, and I've convinced some of them to join the other, so now I get to see them even more. It's great. So yes, join clubs, and do go to those first few events, even if they might not seem like the people you're going to stick with forever, because it's nice to just have transition people sometimes.
So I was in a sport team, which meant I didn't have to make friends because you get built-in friends. That's similar to sororities or fraternities. If anybody joins any of those, you pay for your friends, so you get them automatically. Obviously, those don't always work out, right? Maybe you're not friends with everybody on the team, or you're not friends with everybody in the sorority or frat. That's okay. But what me and my friends would do was we'd hang out in my room for about 10-15 minutes, and then we would go to other things on campus, and we just show up stuff, whether it was in a dorm room and it was typically stuff we were not supposed to be at. We were not typically invited or not a part of that dorm. And we would just go and introduce ourselves. Nobody really cares in college whether or not you show up to things. It's a lot of RA stuff. So they were really appreciative that people were actually going to them. And we just made friends. So we had friends from international play, like we had a lot of friends who were not from America we made friends with. And all of those friendships will benefit you junior, senior year when you want to do fun stuff on campus and you're looking for things to do. It'll really help that you have a kind of a broad friend network and not everybody's just like you, because you're going to be doing the same stuff with those people anyway. You got to have kind of different groups. So branch out, join clubs that you don't really know anything about. Talk to people in class was a good one, because everybody in class doesn't really want to talk. I was like very much hood and headphones person, so just talk to people, give it a go.
I think when I first got to campus, we've already talked about the pre-orientation program thing. If that's something, if your school does that and that's something that appeals to you, definitely do that. Because once, my school's not that big, but if you go to a big school, having a smaller program that you're involved in can really help, like not get overwhelmed by the sheer number of people that you're going to meet in that first week. But the first day that I was at college, when we were in that that program, we had a little bit of downtime, and the first thing that we did was go find our rooms, and like it was a group of 5 or 6 of us just kind of going and visiting each other's rooms and just talking and getting an idea of who we were, and it was a lot of fun. But another thing that I know that we did was just exchange phone numbers constantly with everybody you met. And a bunch of those people, I put a contact into my phone and I never contacted them again. But some people ended up being in my dorm. I would like ask where the laundry room was and things like that. But just kind of getting people's contact information and joining some group chats and stuff can be fun. And the other thing that we ended up doing was sometime in that first week, one of my friends had brought like a Cards Against Humanity deck, and we started playing. And the first time we played was in the dorm, but then we eventually moved to like a common area, like in the student center, and we've been doing that every week since we started college. And it's been a lot of fun, and some of the people stay the same, and sometimes you catch somebody walking by and you're like, hey, you want to join? And then that person becomes your friend. So it can come from a lot of different places, and if you just do fun things in places that other people are just going to show up and just exist in that space, that's a really good way to make friends.
Do what you like in spaces where other people can enjoy it. I know I would go to the lounge a lot, and we would play ping pong, and me and my friend got into this game where if you lost, you had to do push-ups or whatever. And we got like 6 or 7 dudes to do that with us, and we made a group chat called Push Pong, where you do whatever. I would say for me, the pre-orientation group that we had was really essential, and we had a retreat, and having that shared experience really helped with making friends, as well as I kind of wanted a culture similar to me, and I was part of the Black Action Society at my school, and we had a lot of different events going to like gospel choir, step shows, and things like that. So I would say just join a lot of groups. Same thing, I would play piano in the lounge, and people would come by and listen, and then that's how I ended up in an a cappella group. Just openly being yourself and letting others enjoy that, and I think that's how I made friends.
I would always just like hang out at the commuter lounge, or most of my friends lived in campus, so I would sometimes bring a sleeping bag, and I would just stay on their dorm room floor. But most of my friends are also nursing students, since the nursing world doesn't really have too many boys in that area. So we kind of just all made friends with each other because we're all basically in the same classes.
For me at my school, there ended up being a lot of people who went there that were living in the town that I'm from. I'm from Hudson. They didn't necessarily go to AMSA's. Some of them did. Maybe they weren't in my class or not. But you know, somehow through the loop, we figured out that we were all at college together, and we all just kind of hung out one day, and we're very good friends. I got to meet their friends, and you just start making connections wherever you are. I also joined makeup and costume crew for their theater one semester, so I made some friends there, and then I made a lot of friends that were in my program. So as long as you are, you know, trying to stay active and meet new people and things like that, like, you are going to make friends. I know it seems scary at first. I was very anxious about not being able to make friends, because especially when I was in high school, I was a lot more quiet than I think I am now. But in terms of being social, if that doesn't come to you naturally, it definitely takes practice. So, you know, try your best to, you know, get out there, maybe turn to the person who's sitting next to you and just start up a conversation, and eventually you'll get to know people who may end up being your best friends. Who knows? Someone I never thought I'd be friends with, I'm going to their wedding this summer. Wow. Just kind of how it happens.